KUAM News Hotspot is brought to you by
Pacific Points, Do More, Get More, and Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
How about everyone, and welcome to the Hotspot. We're actually kind of flipping the script today. We're going to start with the hub, and we'll get to the Hotspot at the bottom of the hour. And I'd like to introduce our guest for today. We've got a Democratic Party spokesperson, Chris Carrillo, senior advisor for the the Camacho ADA campaign, and our regular guest, UOG professor, Dr. Ron McNinch.
Hi, I'm
All
Sean
right.
Gubernatorial.
Ron, I think you just did I not say your name, Sean? I'm sorry.
Just checking. I'm listening. I got you.
All right, that's Sean Gubernatorial. He is the senior advisor for the Camacho ADA campaign. Sorry about that, Sean.
No worries.
Let's get started with talking about these debates and forums. I think, Ron, you just came from one, which is the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce, which only the Lou Leon Guerrero, Josh Tenorio team showed up. And yesterday there was a forum for the Guam Association of Realtors, which only Governor Felix and Senator Ada showed up by. So what is the impact, and let me start with you, Ron, of these no face-to-face debates so far?
Yeah, it's a really short-sighted and childish effort by both teams, and I'm sorely disappointed in both teams. The candidates, the governor and the former governor, need to sit down and hammer out a schedule of debates and act like adults. That's the reality.
Yeah. Sean, the big loser here is the voters, right?
As a guy who has prepared the MSPJ debate in 2002 and has obviously been part of these events for quite a long time, I agree that these are important venues, and these have been going back to my understanding into the might have been into the 80s, into the mid 80s to the early 90s, that the electorate has had a chance to see at least one face-to-face debate. And I just came from the University of Guam for the coin toss for the great debate, and there was one candidate there, and I guess for all of us, is it important? Yes. Will it happen? It remains to be seen. But the biggest thing for everyone is that we need to have a chance to hear from both candidates.
Chris, what do you think?
Well, forums and debates are great because they allow both candidates to be heard by one audience, and we're able to identify the difference between the policies, right? The governor had agreed to several debates over the course, and she's debated with Congressman Nicholas on several debates, and the former governor refused to show up to some events, and for whatever reason or perceived slight that he might have felt or whatever it was, it put the governor in a difficult position now, which she has to show up and be dictated to when her partner or her challenger is going to show up. So it's a difficult position the governor is in. I do believe that we need to have some debates. Hopefully they can work something out before the primary, before the general. But it's hard when you commit to things and other people don't commit to those same things. It puts you in a difficult position.
But then remember, the gap between the primary election and the general election is 7 weeks. And like I said, in the history of these programs, there's really only been 2 major events. And the biggest one, actually, was only one event for a really long time, and that was the UOG Great Debate. A lot of students put a lot of time into that, and it outlasted even the press club, the old press club, the MSPJ, the Association of Asian American Journalists. It's outlasted those, and those are big events. And yes, they are important for us. And as we've seen over the last 20 years, that has changed. The adding of debates in a 7-week period, it's very challenging for anyone to think that they can do 7 events, 10 events in 7 weeks. And I think campaigns are, they have the opportunity to work together, and I know that they had between Jerry Crisosimo and Roy Respicio, and we're here now. So we have 4 weeks left to go. And we still got events to give, so I think that's where we're going.
But Ron, we've gotten into a situation where both camps are picking and choosing what they think is more advantageous to them. And I see Sean's point that they can't do. If there's too many debates, it may not be practical for them to do it. So how do we resolve this then?
My opinion, and again, I was a little bit strong in my.
You're fired up.
I was irritated.
It's coffee.
It's the coffee at the Hyatt. Okay, here's
coffee.
Good coffee. That's maybe too strong for me. Here's the thing. Okay, is I believe it's staff. It's not really the governor and former governor that's really driving this. I think it's the staff that are driving this, and that's why I think if the governor and former governor sit down and just come up with a mutual schedule and agree, I think that's all that it'll take. Because really, it's not healthy for the public to see pieces of this and pieces of that and then try to knit them together. And because really what both candidate teams are missing is that you're going to have a room full of your own followers anywhere you go. The debates and forums are not about the room full of followers. It's about the media being able, in the live casts that come out of them, that then the people see in real time both candidates, and that's the advantage, and that's where the middle is, and that's where this election is going to fall. Is the people in the middle are going to elect the next governor, not the camps. It's going to be the middle.
But also, there's also been a trend nationwide where gubernatorial races, senatorial races, these debates are now falling from the wayside with the access to all the information that's out there, from podcasts to programs like the Hub.
And
that they can basically get their information and make decisions.
Sure, but I think, and I'll get to, but I think the benefit is for the voter is to be able to see the two teams side by side and being able to gauge it. Because if you're just viewing them from their particular silo of preference, if you will,
right.
The Republican silo and then the Democratic silo, you can't really see a comparison between two different sides trying to. Talk about their positions on very, very important issues, Chris.
Well, and Sean's point is correct, right? Podcasts, social media posts, targeted ads to meet your people is what happens, and we've seen it from the Camacho Ada camp. They've done a series of 14 or 15 one-hour podcasts with no pushback from anyone, right? They're just saying this is our truth and this is what we believe and this is what we say.
Are you subscribed and follow us?
I don't subscribe, but I do
follow
see them. I do see them on social media. What I'm saying is that a debate is an actual chance to examine each other's record. So when Felix goes out and says there's drugs is coming in at all this pace, but we see that during Felix's time he captured 6 pounds of meth per year. And in Governor Leon Guerrero's time, she's capturing 125 pounds of meth a year.
That's the same thing with Ginger. Again, like that was that same report that we asked the last time. So I guess we're still waiting for that report from the administration.
Well, we've seen
your role,
so many
but it's
media
the role of the
reports.
administration.
Right,
we're all waiting for that.
We said that you can review media reports that show 40 pounds of meth was caught here, 6 pounds of meth, right? Yeah. So there's actual evidence. And when they're both on the stage and they talk about the issues and they talk about their record and they get checked on their record or they get checked on their lack of achievement, it's a good thing for the public to see. They can differentiate between the candidates and what's noise and what's actual fact.
Yeah, especially when we're looking at the last 4 years.
Exactly.
Not what happened.
Look, the governor is proud to stand on her record. I'm telling you right now, she's going to be proud. She's going to be proud to stand on her record.
Yeah, but it goes back to what happened the last 4 years.
We're getting better debates right here on.
Yeah, I think so. We're okay.
That's my point. All right, let's move on. Speaking of podcasts, Mike Sineklis, Delegate Mike Sineklis, recently appeared on a podcast with Governor Camacho, and he talked about supposedly a $9 million benefit to the Bank of Guam for the $300 million ARPA deposit that's sitting in the Bank of Guam that's being reserved for, I believe, for the construction of a new hospital. Can you elaborate on what his point was?
No, I can't speak for Congressman Sineklis. From what I, just like you all have got to, if you watched the podcast, On the Trail with Felix and Tony, he mentioned that. I know there was another outlet that might have touched on that issue as well. I don't have all the technical details of it. But the congressman's coming at it from his experiences on the Hill primarily and in that process. So again, I can't speak for Nestor, but it sounds like there might be an issue, and I think that maybe journalists could maybe take a deeper dive if that's the case.
Yeah, well, we did before I asked Chris, we did check with the Department of Administration put out a statement explaining their position on it. And let me just read this one paragraph.
Please.
Department of Administration has full responsibility for decision making and ensuring where and how ARPA or other federal fund advances are managed. To be clear, no one had given instructions to DOA as to where or how ARPA or any federal fund advance should be invested. DOA followed the law and invested in a fund, which in turn invests in federal obligations. This is considered a safe investment. This investment also provides our government with additional interest revenue that is rolled back into the ARPA fund for program use. DOA is concerned only that capital invested is secure and the resultant income is as high as such a risk-free investment will allow. So they say it's proper.
But this is the first time we're all hearing of it, right? And
No, it's not the first time.
When did you hear it on the Hill? When did you hear it? At the
We've heard it in legislative hearings going back to last summer.
Okay.
Senator Taitagui had asked Ed Byrne on the floor.
Right.
He said that money is not in the Bank of Guam. It's in an interest-bearing account,
Did-
away and aside. And this is not new that it hasn't been in the
Right,
Bank
right.
of Guam.
And Chris, did they say where? They didn't.
You can FOIA them. I'm not sure where
I'm
it
not
is.
sure either, so.
I'm not privy to that information, but we do know that it's not in the Bank of Guam. So this whole line of
Well, actually, it is in the Bank of Guam.
it's in a different it's in an
Yeah.
investment vehicle that's not benefiting the Bank of Guam. It's a stable. It's in fact I don't think it's in the Bank of Guam at all. And if you read the statement, it says it's not in the Bank of Guam. So it's misinformation, and it's been peddled for months and months and months.
Yeah, and I'm not a banker, but I think the big picture is that if a bank has a big pot of money and is able to use that and it has to pay it when someone demands payment from that
Sure.
account, but they can use it for investments or whatever they do to make money for themselves. I think that was the point, but I don't know because I'm not a banker, so I can't adequately explain. Are you a banker?
No.
Ron? Okay.
Well,
But it is fun watching these discussions. It's much more interesting than watching two candidate teams that don't debate each other. At least the minions can come out and talk about
Minions?
these
yeah.
things.
Come
well,
on, we're a little bit bigger than me.
I'm a minion. I'm a minion.
Well, he's kind of a minion.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, we're going to take a short break and be back with more right after this.
Dance party.
Let's go.
When inspiration strikes, say yes with the new Priority Unlimited credit card from First Hawaiian Bank. Wherever you shop, whatever you're shopping for, you can earn 2% cash back on everything you buy. From small stuff to big stuff to stuff you want. A card that rewards you for every purchase and helps you stay connected to everything that matters.
Off today, I'm Kalina from Doc's Cutie College,
And I'm Kristen from Doc's Daycare and Preschool.
and we are so honored to be caring for the children of Guam. The Governor's Child Care programs help businesses like ours to really focus on the kids. These programs also help nonprofits and after-school programs and grandparents and so many families.
Visit www.guamchildcare.com to learn more about the Governor's Child Care programs. This ad is paid for with funds administered by DPHSS.
Pacific Points is more rewarding with friends. From now until December 31st, get 300 bonus points for every friend you refer that signs up and earns points. Both you and your friends will enjoy awesome rewards like free Shell fuel, rebates on your IT&E bills, vouchers at Foodies, and United Mileage Plus miles. Plus, earn more points to upgrade your membership tier and enjoy even more exclusive rewards. Learn more at PacificPoints.com or download the app. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
All right, we're back with the Hub, and time to move on to another topic. The governor recently came back from the first ever Pacific Islands Summit, hosted by the White House and President Joe Biden, attended by all the leaders of the various Pacific Islands. From all indications, all reports, it was a very successful event. She came back and she said that she's going to push for membership in the Pacific Islands Forum, which is a specific group that's composed of the leadership of the Pacific Islands, both in the North and the South Pacific. An article came out following that statement, and it quoted several Pacific Island leaders saying they were concerned about Guam's membership because I think they view Guam as maybe a surrogate for the United States, and that Guam would be pushing United States interests in a forum, a group, an organization that's supposed to be primarily for Pacific Island groups. And so let me start with you, Chris, your reaction.
Well, it's important for Guam to have a seat on this council because Guam is the largest island in this region. We do have the closest relationship with the United States. That being said, the governor's actions up there is trying to ensure that the treatment of these islands is fair and equitable. That that we're receiving enough COFA funds so that the citizens can migrate here, so that the COFA agreement is in alignment with human rights, making sure that infrastructure is helped put up there, and all of those things. So it's important for Guam to have a voice on the commission. It's not going to be in charge of the commission. She'll be one of the seats. And I think it's a good thing for Guam, and it's a good thing for our region.
But what about Pacific Island leaders' concerns that Guam is going to be like a surrogate for the U.S.?
Well, they may perceive it that way, but I don't think that that's the governor's intention, and I don't think that's the United States' intention, right? They want to. What the governor wants to do is, and it's not just for this governor, it's for the next governor and moving forward, so that these Compact of Free Association migrants, when they come to America, when they come to Guam or Arkansas or Hawaii or these other hubs where they're going, that their rights are followed, to make sure that their islands have the correct infrastructure they need, health care, access to those things, and if they need federal aid, that we can go and push for federal aid for these.
And Sean, I think boosting their concern is the fact that Governor Leon Guerrero was invited to the summit as a member representative of the U.S. delegation.
Well, it was as an observer to the event. So, but as you know, because the territories are under the auspices of the U.S. Department of Interior, any of those types of matters would go through that. But I want to say that perhaps the reasoning why was, but I think it was 2014 at least in an Australian Broadcasting Corporation story, that they invited the French Polynesia and New Caledonia to join the Pacific Island Forum, which makes some sense to be able to ask to do that. But again, the process it's not just a one and done. I think that the concerns of the island nations are very important, and the Biden administration must hear those concerns. I think it's fair. I mean, will there be a lot of U.S. intervention because of it? I doubt it. Remember that these are all independent nations that are part of this. There's a worry about China getting their hooks on some of the island nations, and looking at investing, which could create a different type of atmosphere policy-wise here in the region.
So you agree then? You agree that Guam should be part of the Pacific?
Again, I think there's a process. I mean, the process that is it really a process? Is she really underway? Both Chris and I don't know. I mean, that's the big deal. Just because you say it, but the State Department is not the end all. There's a big monster in there called the U.S. Department of Interior. Right. There's the White House as well. That, I mean, at some point, if they're not, I mean, you're an observer. That's just, you can watch everything, but you won't have really any say. So hopefully that'll change soon.
Yeah. Ron, you got any thoughts on that?
Sure.
The U.S. won't give us a seat at the compact negotiation, so I might as well go to the Pacific Forum and get a seat, right?
Sure. And by the way, I'm going to be out for 2 weeks, so if don't think Nestor fired me today. Basically, so I won't be at the table in the next 2 weeks. I heard this guy from the University of Hawaii quacking about this in a really pejorative way. Obviously, a lot of the people doing a lot of the talking about Guam and the United States really probably don't know what they're talking about. How little they understand how the U.S. and Guam often don't get along. So if you're afraid that you go to the table and you're going to get along, they might just see the opposite. That's one little point. The other point is China does have its hooks in everything. They're in all of these panels, and they block people from being on these panels. And I think this is a result or an abstraction of the cancel culture that is keeping people out of things. I think it's great the governor went to this meeting, and I think we should have all governors go to as many of these kinds of meetings as possible to at least open the lines of communication, even if they don't have a formal seat at the table. Just showing up, is good. Showing up is 90% of life in the field of diplomacy, and so we've got to have that voice there.
And that's right, because Governor Camacho also attended the PIF numerous times during his administration with the former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice and the like. So it's not out of the realm that they do attend.
Okay, please note, we have consensus right here. On that note, we're going to take another break and be back with more of The Hub right after this.
There's epic, then there's ultra epic. Capture life in vivid resolution with Galaxy's most advanced camera system and the built-in S Pen that puts you in control. Every moment, every angle, from sunrise to sundown and beyond. More striking, more stunning than ever. Find the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra at your nearest iTunes store or online at ite.net and change the way you work and play.
As the Decision 2022 race shapes up, keep it with KUAM News for all the news you need to know as you head to the polls. From weekly candidate profile analysis on the Hub on KUAM News Hotspot to our online candidate directory on KUAM.com, special features on KUAM Digital and KUAM News Primetime, plus live coverage of forums and debates. We're your one-stop source on every platform. Stay informed with KUAM News, your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
Off today, I'm Kalina from Doc's City College.
And I'm Kristen from Doc's Daycare and Preschool.
And we are so honored to be caring for the children of Guam. The governor's child care programs help businesses like ours to really focus on the kids. These programs also help nonprofits and after-school programs and grandparents and so many families.
Visit www.guamchildcare.com to learn more about the governor's child care programs. This ad is paid for with funds administered by DPHSS.
Dance party.
Let's go.
When inspiration strikes, say yes with the new Priority Unlimited credit card from First Hawaiian Bank. Wherever you shop, whatever you're shopping for, you can earn 2% cash back on everything you buy. From small stuff to big stuff to stuff you want. A card that rewards you for every purchase and helps you stay connected to everything that matters.
Pacific Points is more rewarding with friends. From now until December 31st, get 300 bonus points for every friend you refer that signs up and earns points. Both you and your friends will enjoy awesome rewards like free shelf fuel, rebates on your IT&E bills, vouchers at Foodies and United Mileage Plus Miles. Plus, earn more points to upgrade your membership tier and enjoy even more exclusive rewards. Learn more at PacificPoints.com or download the app. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
All right, we are back, and we've been talking too much about the gubernatorial race, so let's talk about some of the other races. What do you think are the issues that are driving the delegate race, and who do you think's got an edge right now? Go ahead, Sean.
When I look at the delegate race, it's what is their position on federal policy relative to Guam and how well they're able to articulate it. I think I've seen across different platforms that they've kind of spent a little bit too much time talking about what they've done locally. I do want to hear more into what they plan to do once they get on the Hill. And that, I mean, as a voter like all of us, that I want to know what they plan to do there, and how does it affect the federal programs that are delivered here, whether it's defense, whether it's, we just talked about state, if you will, interior for sure, obviously because of our role, but and we have the parks. We have quite a number of those assets here. But yeah, I want to hear more about the federal policy.
As a Republican, do you think Jim Moylan has distinguished himself better than Dr. Judy Wonpet?
I think they're both just working through in these events to kind of articulate that. I mean, there's still a long way to go, but they're with each engagement, with each time talking about it, it's getting a little bit better. But I mean, the whole community wants to see them both have a command of the federal policy for Guam.
Chris, what do you think the issues are that are driving the delegate race, and how do you think Dr. Wonpat's doing?
Well, I agree with a lot of what Sean had to say, right? How are they going to deal up there in the Hill? And I think that Speaker Wonpat has a track record of being a person that can work with both sides of the aisle. She was a speaker for 5 terms. She's got a lot of policy through. She's tenacious. When she wants something done, she speaks to everyone. She comes to agreements with people. And she's a great leader, right? So Senator Moylan has been doing a lot of legislation that, gets to but doesn't have a funding source. Gets here, but is not able to push it through. So you have one person that can work with others, and another person that doesn't, and uses a lot of press releases and social media to attack others. So I think that because Speaker Wonpat has been so engaged in foreign relations, especially in this area, being the president of the APIL, going to Washington to get resources for that. She has a lot of connections. She's been spending time up in Washington, D.C. the last few weeks, meeting with important people and important Democrats that she's going to work with, and talking to the other side, seeing where they can find points where they can stand together. So in my opinion, I think that Judy's ahead a little bit, but it remains to be seen. The voters are going to tell us at the end of the day. But I think that Speaker Wonpat has a proven track record that we know as Chamorro people we can count on her.
Okay, Ron, do you think the 2 candidates have been able to distinguish themselves, and are there issues that kind of separate them? And what are your thoughts on who's articulating their positions the best?
First, there are a lot of very strong and important differences between these 2 candidates. The problem is they're both just so nice. They're way too nice to each other when there are these important contrasting differences. Moylan believes that everyone should vote for political status. Wonpat doesn't believe that. And she said it. I mean, that was what was said. She says, later people can vote. And he said, no, let people vote today. Those kinds of highlights need to be distinguished for the public, and the public needs to see these kinds of differences. Wonpat also had a great point about making sure Guam's included in every single bill at the Congress. That was a great point. The debate or forum today was very good. It showed us some of that, but they're not really contrasted very well. And I think Moylan probably said the same thing. Yeah, absolutely get Guam on every bill. The key point that nobody ever talks about, and we've got to get our public and community to talk about, is we're going to be absolutely hobbled at the U.S. Congress until we get a voice at the U.S. Senate, whether it's informal or formal. We get a seat at that table where half of the legislative process actually happens. We have no voice there. And so whoever is our delegate, their prime directive should be getting a voice at the other house, and then we can actually get things done.
Yeah, like a shadow senator, the one that D.C. has.
Or use a Tennessee Act, right? To
absolutely.
Get it in place, sit down, and now you're it.
Is that another consensus?
Well, I think the one other important difference is women's reproductive rights and the choice. I mean, I know Dr. McNitch doesn't really think it's going to play a large role at the last time I was here, but women are coming out to vote for pro-choice candidates because they feel like their rights are about to be taken away.
It still should be a states' rights issue. I believe it's a states' rights thing. Let the state decide.
And that's in line with the national politics.
Yeah, even though there's a push federally, but it should be a states' rights issue.
And men can't get pregnant. I think we should agree on that at least.
Yeah.
As a father of 4 daughters, I'll agree.
All right.
I get 2 sons, so.
we got to take another break, and we'll be back to wrap up the hub in just a moment. As the Decision 2022 race shapes up, keep it with KUAM News for all the news you need to know as you head to the polls. From weekly candidate profile analysis on the hub on KUAM News HotSpot to our online candidate directory on KUAM.com, special features on KUAM Digital and KUAM News Primetime, plus live coverage of forums and debates. We're your one-stop source on every platform. Stay informed with KUAM News, your news leader, the voice of the Marianas. Okay, we are back for the final few minutes of our show, and before we turn it over to Tomas, of course. Last question. Let's talk about the AG race. Same question. What issues are driving the AG race, and who has the edge? And we've got 3 candidates, actually. We've got Levin Camacho, we've got Doug Moylan, and we've got a write-in candidate, Peter Santos. Let me start with you, Ron, because you've got some strong thoughts about the write-in candidate.
Just
Go
a
ahead.
little strong.
Yeah, I think there are two candidates in this race only, and there are two named candidates on the ballot, and that's who people are going to be vastly voting for. I think that in general, both of them have good contrasts. I think that Doug and Levin both have done the job, and the public can certainly see the differences. I've got to say that, their approach to being Attorney General is very, very different. Doug is very aggressive toward crime. He's a real crime-fighting AG. And Levin seems to be more on the institutional, technical aspects of the job, at least in my impression. So the public have a good set of contrasting choices to make.
All right, John?
I think if you get a chance to watch the Guam Bar Association forum, I think that'd be a good way to think about. We have the lawyers asking the lawyers questions about lawyering. If you can get all that into one thing, but when we look at it, I think that the struggle, and I agree with Dr. Bignich that it really is a two-horse race. That the challenge to the write-in is already going to be pretty big, and Doug and Levin are out there trying to get people to vote for them. The issues of crime are in all of our faces on this newscast on a nightly basis, and then the community has to decide who would be best to solve those issues today, not tomorrow, today.
So you think crime,
I think that's the biggest issue. Prosecuting crime, yeah, it's a big deal.
Okay.
Crime is it's a big part of any election, right? Senatorial, gubernatorial, the attorney generals. We have two candidates. We have one that was an AG that got voted out and lost the election twice already as an AG, and he got voted out for a reason. And he is aggressive. He says he's aggressive. He wants to enforce federal laws to stop the cannabis industry from starting. He wants to enforce the 1990s abortion law to stop abortion from happening on Guam. So there's a clear contrast, right? We can protect progress and keep moving the Attorney General's office forward, or we can go back to an aggressive person who indicted people 30 times with no convictions. So he got voted out for a reason, and I don't think it's a good reason to bring him back. That's my own opinion.
All right, we're out of time. That's Chris Carrillo. That's Sean Gumatau. And that's Dr. Ron McNish. I'm Nestor LaConta. Thanks for watching. Time to turn it over to my colleague, Tomas Maglonia, to continue with the Hotspot.
Yasunto gilingwahin ni Tataw Tano di KUM News Tomorrow News Update sa stream gi internet gi Isla Radio dan di KUM News YouTube na channel. Pates ti gidiuda din kinimitin mami para insisteni linalay lingwahita din kulturata para todo henerasyon siya. Inafatui Tomorrow News Update ni Fambilan Mizo gi First Hawaiian Bank.
Half a day, I'm Nick Delgado with your Think Pink News Update. As October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we want to share some important facts with you. In 2022, an estimated 287,500 new cases of invasive breast cancer will be diagnosed in women in the U.S., as well as 51,400 new cases of invasive breast cancer this year. An estimated 43,550 women will die from breast cancer in the U.S., although rare, men get breast cancer too. 1 in every 100 diagnoses are men. 1 in 8 women in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime. On average, every 2 minutes, a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer in the U.S. Though the statistics are alarming, there are healthy lifestyle choices you can make to reduce your risk of a diagnosis. Maintain a healthy weight through balanced nutrition and regular physical activity. If you are a new mother and are able to, breastfeed your babies. Know how your breasts normally look and feel, do self-exams regularly, and talk to your doctors right away if you notice changes. Talk to your doctor if you have a higher risk, including a family history of cancer. Schedule mammograms regularly based on your doctor's recommendation for your age and risk factors. Let's all think pink this October and learn more about early detection and prevention of breast cancer.
Think Pink this October. This message is brought to you by the KUAM Care Force in partnership with Island Cancer Center and the American Cancer Society.
This year, we're expanding our Decision 2022 platform to include comprehensive coverage of the election in the Northern Marianas. Stay with KUAM News for candidate conversations on Pacific matters, interviews with the gubernatorial teams, coverage of debates and forums, and live coverage on the general election night. We're your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
Watch Mariana's artists, activists, and visionaries and their quest to protect, preserve, and promote our Chamorro culture on the Culture Club, a weekly feature on KUAM News digital platforms and the KUAM News Weekend Edition. Brought to you by Tropical Ice.
The Culture Club, winner of the 2022 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Did you know that you may be at increased risk of being diagnosed with breast cancer if you have a family history of cancer? Be proactive and learn your history to help reduce the risk and catch cancer at an early stage. These conversations may be difficult to have, but they're so important. So make the time to have a discussion with family. Encourage family members to respond in a way that's most comfortable for them. Be sensitive and be a good listener. Write down who's had cancer, the age they were diagnosed, and what type of cancer. While respecting privacy, share your potential increased risk with your doctor, and they can recommend testing and screening most suitable for you. This is just one step that you can take in helping you understand your risk for breast cancer, and it may lead to early detection. Think Pink this October. This message is brought to you by the KUAM Care Force in partnership with Island Cancer Center and the American Cancer Society.
As the Decision 2022 race shapes up, keep it with KUAM News for all the news you need to know as you head to the polls. From weekly candidate profile analysis on the Hub on KUAM News Hotspot to our online candidate directory on KUAM.com, special features on KUAM Digital and KUAM News Primetime, plus live coverage of forums and debates. We're your one-stop source on every platform. Stay informed with KUAM News, your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
Welcome to the Hotspot. I'm Tomas Maglonia, filling in again for Jason Salas on this Friday. We made it to Friday. Here's what's in our data drop for today. It's a lockdown at the Department of Corrections after fights break out. And in national headlines, we're going to share a story about a verdict that is reached in the Parkland shooting. And we also get details to Saturday's politics and cannabis event. And One Micronesia celebrates its 100th episode. Our friend Vic is going to join us in studio in a moment to share this wonderful celebration. And a lockdown at the prison Thursday. This following a reported fight involving at least 2 prisoners and 3 others apparently wanting to join in as well. It happened Thursday morning at the Department of Corrections, Post 5. That's the overflow for the prison's maximum security unit. KUAM has learned that 2 inmates were getting fresh air when they got into a fight. It's at that point another inmate who was locked up became irate over the fight, damaging items inside his cell. At that same time, 2 inmates in another cell got all riled up, wanting to get involved, causing damage to their cell as well. No serious injuries were reported. DOC's Special Operations Response Team was called, and the prison is investigating. And some welcome news to homeowners around the island as the Department of Administration's Homeowners Assistance Fund program has been updated. Program Director Audrey Topasna.
Those updates to Guam's HAF plan does include eligible homeowners can now receive up to $26,550 of relief assistance. So that is an additional $11,550 increase, because when we started HAF, we were at 15, and so now we're at $26,550.
The increase is due to the concern that some homeowners who have maxed out the $15,000 from the program still need financial assistance to pay past due mortgages, utilities, or even property tax. Those who have maxed out the first $15K can still apply to get the additional $11,550.
We do encourage them to avail to the increase in the relief assistance amount. And what they can do is submit a continuance form. We are going to require them to submit updated income documents. And then, of course, they have to submit their billing statement.
Homeowners who have questions regarding the HAF program and its updated services, you can call 671-638-3814 or 3815 or send an email. That's haf@doa.guam.gov. And now turning to some national headlines, parents of the victims of the Parkland shooting are speaking out after a jury in Florida recommended the gunman not be executed for the 2018 high school massacre that killed 17 people. We have this report from outside the courthouse in Fort Lauderdale.
Family members who lost loved ones in the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School massacre wiped away tears inside the Florida courtroom as it became clear the jury was not recommending the death penalty for the shooter.
We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt outweigh the mitigating circumstances established. No.
Instead, Nicholas Cruz, characterized by his lawyers as brain damaged and mentally ill, will be sentenced to life in prison without parole for the murders of 14 students and 3 staff members after the jury failed to unanimously agree to execute him. The jury foreman said he was disappointed in the outcome, but that other jurors had concerns about Cruz's mental health.
There was one with a hard no, she couldn't do it. And there was another 2 that ended up, voting the same way.
Family members expressed their outrage and disappointment following the court proceedings.
I am so beyond disappointed and frustrated with this outcome.
Today's ruling was yet another gut punch.
Tony Montalto's daughter, Gina, was one of those killed.
This shooter did not deserve compassion. Did he show the compassion to Gina when he put the weapon against her chest and chose to pull that trigger?
Family members will get to speak on the record when they give impact statements at next month's sentencing. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
And it's Friday, so we're jumping into Jason Salas's favorite place to be. That's the metaverse, to listen in and read some of your responses to our HotSpot weekly question. This week we asked, would you like to see more gubernatorial debates before the November 8th general election, and why? The comments were heated up over the past week. Lucio on Facebook writes, never mind the debate. We all know there's no need to support a failed governor like Felix Camacho. Debt-wise, he lost to Lou, that commenter writes. Gennaro over on Facebook also shares his heated point of view. If possible, yes, but I wouldn't go as far to believe what Felix has to say. I'm more interested at how Lou will deal with the incoming economic problem. Felix did poorly during his time, this commenter writes. Another one of you in our Facebook world writes, of course, it's good to see what are the potential thoughts of potential governors on different issues in the island. Emelita on Facebook also sharing her point of view. She says, no more, it's almost election time. Just by reading the newspaper or watching the news, one would have a hint of these candidates have in mind. And Taj over on Facebook also says, no thank you. We lived the past 10 years listening to them talk and still in the same boat 10 plus years later, middle working class still struggling. That's all. Of course, we're looking forward to all of your engagement and comments on our weekly question. Thanks for joining the conversation online. We'll have a new question on Monday, so be on the lookout. And with Halloween right around the corner, check out this spooktacular drink from our friends at Slingstone in East Agana. It's this week's Feed Me Friday, brought to you by Devondale Milk.
It's Feed Me Fridays on KOM News Hotspot, brought to you by Devondale, real milk for free grazing cows.
Hey guys, well, it's time for another Feed Me Fridays, and we're going to hit up Slingstone here in East Agana. Let's check out what they have this October.
Hi, I'm Charity Titano. Welcome to Slingstone. Today we're going to be making a pumpkin chai. We have right here our Devondale milk. We're going to be using 5 ounces of that. We're gonna do 2 pumps of the pumpkin sauce, 4 scoops of our chai, and then we're gonna do 3 pumps of our cream base. Now we're going to add a whole cup of ice, go extra, and now we blend. Now for some drizzle. This is our pumpkin chai.
Hi. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Here you go. Here's our pumpkin chai.
Ooh, chilling. All right, I got my pumpkin chai frap. Let's try it out. Wow, that is a drink that you want to try. Very festive, just in time for spooky season. Thank you, Devondale. Thank you, Slingstone Coffee. We'll send it back to you, Jace.
It's Feed Me Fridays on KOM News Hotspot, brought to you by Devondale. Real milk from free grazing cows.
All right, thanks. So that was shot and edited by Vic, who joins us now because tonight we're marking a big milestone as One Micronesia marks its 100th episode. And Victorious Falan, its host, joins us now. Vic, congratulations. This show has really had a huge impact. Do you feel that?
Yeah. It's definitely, I you know, out there at events and stuff like that, a lot of people just walk up to me and say, hey, man, we love your show. And I always think about, I think they're talking about local music mashup, this and that, right? And then halfway down, like, oh, which show is that? And I was like, oh, One Micronesia. And I'm like, oh, you watch it? It's like, yeah, watch it. You know, and it's also, I think we've seen a difference. It's been, 3 years now since the machete attacks in Manilao. And I remember in 2019 when we started the podcast, the comment section was just, honestly, it was just anywhere from deport to, you know, the comments were just really not nice to see. So to see the comments change from 2019 until now, I think it's definitely been it's been good to see that there's a difference being made. Yeah.
So this milestone kind of creep up on you? I know you work on the show. It's pretty much one person.
Yes.
It's a one-person band that you produce, you edit all of that for the show. So, I mean, have you kept your eye on the number 100? Or
I had to count. I remember Jason. Thanks to Jason, though, he would be the one posting it on YouTube, and he was like, "Bro, I think we're getting close to that 100." I was like, "Wait, what? We're almost to 100? I thought we're still in the 40s." And he's like, "No." So we have to recount it, and then I guess just about 2 weeks ago, I realized that we're about to hit the 100. So I was like, "Wow, it's been really it's been that long." And I think we're here, and it's been such a great journey.
And what's the best memory you have of doing the show thus far?
I think the best memory, honestly, I think all of it is, and I think really sitting down and with these with interviewees and getting to know them and getting to know their stories. Some of it, like, I didn't know until halfway through the interview. Like, I didn't know they did this and that, and they grew up in Chuuk or in Yap or in Pohnpei, moved to Guam, and had to go through a struggle, and then making it past that. I think that was the most beautiful thing, and the craziest memories that I've always kept.
All right, I know it's a lot to ask to pull one good memory out of the hundreds now that you have, of the hundreds you have. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of those One Micronesia memories.
Hafaday, ladies and gentlemen, we've made it to the 100th episode of the One Micronesia podcast. But before we get to it, let's take a step back in time.
To find also that balance. I wanted to be able to write something and deliver it in a way that could resonate with not just us and Micronesians.
And along with those frustrations and anger was also possible, ways to look at how we can all come together.
And I hope we can teach the young ones what it means to be a respectful Chukis.
Tsuki was relegated to the back of my dorm closet.
When I did get into the nursing program, my nursing advisors were...
Try to learn, take that extra step. That's probably the best advice I could give you. I really want to do more than that.
Just because you don't mean to hurt someone doesn't mean that you get away with it all the time.
This is what I want to do. I'm going to do it.
We try to put in stories within our design. With a lot of sacrifice, man,
This is what an islander do.
How do I represent
Micronesia? How do I represent the Pacific Islands?
I think in elementary school, the hardest part was identifying myself.
One of the things that I can provide right now is being a role model.
You know, there's different ways that you can help Micronesians rise.
When you only have one chance to do it, just do it. You can utilize, the gift that you got to not only have the influence that you want to make a positive impact on our community.
The idea of Micronesia in itself, whether it exists as a legitimate cultural area, right, is a big topic.
That same night, I ended up writing my first verse.
Really set the tone for the next new forum that's going to come.
So we need to be resilient in our cause.
Be an ancestor that our descendants will thank.
Find ways to make things make sense.
Find meaning, find purpose.
Half a day, I'm Senator Clint Rogel. I want to congratulate Victorious Fallon on the 100th episode of the One Micronesia podcast. Biba One Micronesia.
Wow, 99 episodes. We are here. But all of that thanks to you guys. Thank you so much for watching on all our streaming platforms. Thank you. And I hope it has inspired you to do better and to always remember that we are all one Micronesia.
All right, Vic, I was thinking about our original slogan, Voice of the Marianas, and I can't help but think about how your show has been a voice for Micronesia. So who do you have coming up, in the next episode, this 100th episode?
When I heard that he wasn't running again for the 37th Guam legislature, I was like, I have to get him. I've always wanted to have him on the show when he got into the legislature in 2018. So it was about time to call him up. So I called up Senator Clint Rogel. He was like, yes, I'm down, bro, in like 100th, and he's like, I am so honored to be a part of it. So it's going to be Senator Clint Rogel, and the talk is amazing. We will find out how he first got in and all the things that he did in the Guam legislature, and then you'll find out what he's going to do next.
All right, well, we can't wait for it. I know I'll be tuning in this week, and so we're wishing you 100 more episodes, Vic, and so congratulations again. Stay tuned. We'll be back after this break.
Stay on top of breaking news and the biggest stories of the day with NBC News Daily. Get in-depth reporting from across the country and around the world, tips to take care of your health and your wallet, and up-to-the-minute local news. NBC News Daily, weekdays on NBC.
Yasunto gilingwahin ni Tataw Tano gi KUM News Tomorrow News Update sa stream gi internet gi Isla Radio dan ni KUM News YouTube na channel. Pati esti gidiuda din kinimitin mami para insisteni ilinalay lingwahita din kulturata para todo henerasyon siya. Inafatui Tomorrow News Update ni Familian Mizo gi First Hawaiian Bank.
Half a day, I'm Nick Delgado with your Think Pink News Update. As October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we want to share some important facts with you. In 2022, an estimated 287,500 new cases of invasive breast cancer will be diagnosed in women in the U.S., as well as 51,400 new cases of invasive breast cancer this year. An estimated 43,550 women will die from breast cancer in the U.S., although rare, men get breast cancer too. 1 in every 100 diagnoses are men. 1 in 8 women in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime. On average, every 2 minutes, a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer in the U.S. Though the statistics are alarming, there are healthy lifestyle choices you can make to reduce your risk of a diagnosis. Maintain a healthy weight through balanced nutrition and regular physical activity. If you are a new mother and are able to, breastfeed your babies. Know how your breasts normally look and feel, do self-exams regularly, and talk to your doctors right away if you notice changes. Talk to your doctor if you have a higher risk, including a family history of cancer. Schedule mammograms regularly based on your doctor's recommendation for your age and risk factors. Let's all think pink this October and learn more about early detection and prevention of breast cancer.
Think Pink this October. This message is brought to you by the KUAM Care Force in partnership with Island Cancer Center and the American Cancer Society.
Welcome back. Well, tomorrow night, politics and cannabis. Yes, those two words are becoming more acquainted with each other. It's a forum hosted by the Homegrown Collective, which will be held here to talk about the event as well, the mission of the nonprofit. President Jenilyn Abinalas. Jenilyn, thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, thanks for having me.
And so first, tell us a little bit about the Homegrown Collective.
So the Homegrown Collective just started up recently. We've been
with a group, and we've separated in regards to creative differences. But here we are today. The Homegrown Collective is basically a collective of connecting like-minded individuals, of cannabis advocates and allies through wellness, sustainability, and education.
And so your members, they're from all walks of life, right? And so how's your membership?
Our membership is growing. We really do have all walks of life. Cannabis brings so many people together, from just regular civilians, veterans, moms, business owners, and other professionals. It's such a wide range and touches so many different aspects of lives.
And so this event, Politics and Cannabis, Saturday, October 15, 6 to 9 p.m. What do people have to know if they want to make it there?
So if you want to be there, we highly recommend that you go. It's at the Good Company Bar from 6 to 9 p.m., free entry. We actually have 14 confirmed candidates that will be there, including 2 AGs and a bunch of Republicans and Democrats. So if you want to go, it's 6 to 9 again, Good Company.
And so this is the first forum of its kind, right, on Guam?
Yes, it's the first politics and cannabis event on the island.
And so what's the format? What question, how questions will be asked, or what's the interaction like with the 14 candidates?
So what we want to do, we didn't want it to be like a debate type. We want candidates to share their platform with us, to tell them what they're about, as well as their stance on cannabis and what they believe the industry could do, and just to really get to know the cannabis community. It's more like a mixer and a meet and greet for us generally in the community, to really get to know the candidates and for them to know us as well.
And I wanted to get your take on where you feel cannabis is in the conversation of Guam politics.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we just said this is the first forum of its kind, historic, but are you seeing more candidates having that part of their platform? Is it a vital issue, you think, for Guam voters?
I think it's a super vital issue for Guam voters to really hone in on what it can do for the island. Politicians especially should be very aware of how the industry is going in the States and in Saipan and other countries, because many of these countries are actually prospering from having cannabis as a tourism attraction, but also as something that will help the community socio-economically.
And I guess what are some of the misconceptions or, kind of myths surrounding when we talk about cannabis? Because, it's a fun conversation, it's high time, but, you guys are putting a serious pin on this conversation. So what are you hoping to hear specifically? Some candidates are outwardly, pro cannabis in all of its forms, and others are a bit more hesitant. So is that what you're hoping to get to at this forum?
Yes and no. We want everyone to be able to learn from each other, right? We want to know because what we want to do is help each other. As the Homegrown Collective, wellness, sustainability, and education is, that's our pillars, right, of what we want to push. And that's almost every person, every human, or every community member on our island really want to push towards something that's very healthy for our environment.
Right, and so you have some candidates too who are not in support of it that you're going to hear from at this forum.
I am not sure completely, but I know we do have some that are very supportive of the plan. But this is where you can go to find out if they are or not. Yeah, this is where they will share.
And so each candidate will have about 3 minutes, right, to talk about their platform.
Yes.
And so where can people go, I guess, to get more information about this as well?
For them to get more information, you can follow us, the Homegrown Collective, on Instagram at thc.gu, or on Facebook, the Homegrown Collective Guam. You could also email us at thehomegrowncollectivegu@gmail.com. And if you want to join us as a member, as a general member, we're actually recruiting more people into our community. You can also sign up in our link in bio.
And the general election is just less than a month away, so this is going to be the only forum between now and then of its nature.
Yes, it will.
And so I guess what do you hope that these candidates bring to the table learning from each other is also going to be important, right? Not just hearing their platforms, but hopefully to have them in conversation with each other.
Yes.
And with the people who attend.
100%.
And so when did this idea come about, and are you planning to hold more of these in the future?
Yes, we do plan to hold more of these in the future just to get the community involved and educated, and to really get more people to understand what this industry can hold for our island.
All right, well, we're looking forward to it. Politics and cannabis. Thank you again to President here, Jenilyn Abenalas, for joining us. And that's our show on this Thursday edition of the Hotspot. We look forward to seeing you next week.